Hello everyone, welcome to our series India After Independence. Let's begin Indian economy and industrialization after independence. Colonial rule debilitated domestic industry by destroying indigenous industry and by discouraging growth of modern industry on the other hand. A small but independent industrial base with Indian ownership and control emerged between 1914 47, and by the times Indians were also doing well in field of finance and banking as well. Large business conglomerates like Tatas, Birlas, Singhania, Dalmais have emerged during that period itself. Post independence, a pure Soviet model was not followed, and private capital was given space in a mixed economy which primarily aimed at important substitution. Self dependence and rapid industrialization, planned economic growth was at the heart of strategy of development. Even before independence, Bombay Plan was drafted in 1945 by major industrialists who favored growth of capital goods industry to reduce dependency. Since capital goods industry offers return in long term, it could be funded by public money only in an underdeveloped country. First plan could focus on problems at hand only, and it was second plan or Nehru Mahalanobis plan that laid foundation of industrial growth in India. However, care was taken that it doesn't promote regional imbalance, prevents wealth concentration, and interest of small labor intensive industries are not hurt. However, the period also laid the foundation of license Raj as well. Savings and investment rates significantly increased. GDP growth rate was also four times than colonial average in five first two decades. Industry grew at a rate of more than 7% during first three plans, and agriculture 100 grew at more than 3% at a rate much better than during colonial period. Public sector captured commanding heights and further marginalized an already small foreign sector. In social sector also considerable investment were made, scientific research was also rapidly promoted, and CSIR was established with many of its labs. Similarly, atomic energy was also given a push with the establishment of Atomic Energy Commission in 1948. Two successive monsoon failures of 1965 and 66 brought significant hardship to the Indian economy. Wars in 1962 and 1965 also added pressure on economy and inflation to react to alarming levels. So much so that even long-term planning was to be suspended for 3 years. 1966 and 69 and instead annual plans were rolled out. Foreign aid also declined in wake of 1965 war and India's criticism of Vietnam War. The US also put stop on PL 480 wheat loan. Pressure was put on India to liberalize her economy and devalue currency. But when India did so, situation of Indian economy worsened and government was even criticized for devaluing the currency. Government took a left turn in many measures like a MRTP Act, FERA Act, nationalization of banks and industry was taken up starting from 1969 till 1970. In the same period, Green Revolution also happened, leading to food security. However, a few shortcomings were also associated with the approach taken by government in early years. Import substitution insulated Indian industry from competition and curbed outside exposure. It led to inefficiencies into the industry and technological backwardness. MRTP Act 2 went against basic principle of economies of scale, which is at the heart of capitalist development and hence punished efficiency. Political pressures, bureaucratic hurdles, and trade unionism further worsened the situation. Indian economy failed to develop a competitive edge when nature of international markets changed from domestic production to outsourcing, and early movers like China and East Asian countries reaped the benefits. India failed to benefit from changing nature of international capital. Government expenses were fast outstripping its income, and as a result fiscal deficit touched dangerous levels of 10% and debt increases from 30% in 1970 to 54% in 1991, having domino effects and forms of inflation. Lower foreign capital inflow and lesser industrial investments, though India grew at an average of 5.5% in the decade 1980 to 90. It was largely a debt led growth based on huge government expenditures and deficit. Forex reserve fell drastically to just $2.1 billion in 1990, just enough to meet 1 month's imports. Iraqi invasion of Kuwait further fueled oil prices and it further strained Indian economy. Situation was so acute that government had to sell its 20 tons of gold to Bank of Switzerland. These were the situation in which minority governments led by Narasimha Rao liberalized the Indian economy and brought economic reforms, also termed as structural adjustment program, partially under IMF and World Bank pressure in exchange of aid. Exchange rate was now almost deregulated. Licensing system and industries were considerably dismantled. MRTP Act was abolished. Disinvestment of public sector started. FDI and FII was promoted and so on. As a result, Indian economy stacked a quick recovery and eighth plan 1992 to 1997 averaged growth rate of 7%. Debt to GDP ratio was also improved at 28% by 1995 to 1996. Reforms in stock market also led to dramatic change in capitalization. Money economists argue that economic liberalization has exposed India of global shocks and have again integrated Indian economy in a subservient manner. Investment in the capital goods industry remains still poor, and poverty levels have also not come down significantly. No serious steps were taken to boost public savings and improve the condition of public sector. Labor markets also remained non-reform. In 1996 to 97, Indian economy was also hit by East Asian economic crisis. In 1999, Indian economy was hit by sanctions in wake of nuclear test conducted by India. Thank you.